All right, sometimes it pays to wait. And today, the payoff has come in terms of this story, at least. Now, before I go on, it's been pretty clear that notifications are being throttled pretty bad. In fact, this morning I could see it was pretty clear that there was no traffic. In fact, all the traffic on most of my videos lately has been due to Reddit sharing and sharing on Minds and things like that. So before you keep watching, please hit the like button. At least we can try to move it a little higher, but we can only try. Bill de Blasio, Mayor Big Bird, is going to announce his candidacy tomorrow for the President of the United States. The mayor of New York City, Mayor Big Bird, who is one of the most unpopular politicians in New York, this based on almost any poll that you take. He thinks that after he completed one term and then he's, I guess, in the middle second term. He wants to be president of the entire United States of America. And he apparently, so we're going to get to the stunt that he pulled at Trump Tower a couple days ago. But it's been known that he's been trying to do this for a while. And in fact, he's visited Iowa several times, and I think he also visited New Hampshire at least once. So it says here, de Blasio intends to emphasize his mayoral accomplishments, including the creation of universal pre-K, raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour, and overseeing an all-time crime low, according to NBC News, citing a campaign spokesperson. Good Morning America announced Wednesday that de Blasio and his wife, Chirlane McRae, will appear on the program Thursday. Several candidates appeared on the morning show around the time of their campaign launches. According to the New York Daily News, de Blasio was expected a presidential run last week, but moved the announcement back. De Blasio has reportedly been mulling a presidential bid for months and would join a field of more than 20 Democrats competing for the party's nomination next year. Now, this is a guy who's going to be trying. I mean, you can see that, despite the resemblance, at least Big Bird has some social grace to him. But we have de Blasio's press conference a couple days ago announcing the NYC Green New Deal. Now, bear in mind, if de Blasio was to be elected president, he wouldn't be responsible for implementing this so-called Green New Deal at all. In fact, it seems as if this is an excuse for him to basically, promote it around the country and go around and pretend that he's going to use this campaign, the Green New Deal and all of that, in order to gain attention and deflect from the mess that the city is in. New York City is in a financial mess. He's had corruption probes against him. And let's not also forget that there's money missing from several projects that have been under his control, including one managed by his wife, the First Lady of New York. And there was the major housing scandal of last year where the administrator had to actually resign due to the lack of heat in one of the worst winters in New York history. But let's watch this amazing press conference in the lobby of Trump Tower. So I was listening to this a couple days ago, and I was struck at how amateurish this was. And you could immediately tell how poorly put together this plan was when you heard the first speaker.
Good morning, or good afternoon, morning. Hi, I know I'm kind of late. Sorry about that. My name is Rachel Rivera. I live in Brownsville, and now I'm in New York Communities for Change. Let me tell you why a Green New Deal is for New York and it's so important. My family were Hurricane Sandy survivors. When the storm hit, I was home. I lived in Bed-Stuy when all this took place. The storm got dangerous. I heard a cracking noise coming from the storm, and I took my daughter out of the bed as my ceiling caved in onto her bed, and I lost everything.
All right, so not to diminish from her story, but it was a horrible idea to have her speak. She could, I mean, again, she apparently went through two hurricanes, but you have to put into context. You're having somebody speak before a national audience at Trump Tower while being heckled. She's not a public speaker, and he has her on headlining him, and it only went downhill from there. You can also see behind him there's the escalators, and the questions would come later as to why he spoke from over here. Now, let's go look at some of the things that de Blasio said.
And everyone else, do me one favor before we take questions. To all the leaders, all the activists, please give your neighbor a round of applause. Okay. To the news media, we have questions from the media on this first.
So that, I mean, what kind of look is that when you're introducing yourself in front of this crowd of people on escalators who are going up and down, calling you the worst mayor ever, with hilarious signs with Big Bird and donkeys on them?
And then we'll go to other topics. First on this.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
What would you say to someone who said that you're holding a taxpayer-funded campaign rally?
This is about a bill that was passed by the City Council that is very clear and serious about the consequences for building owners who do not comply with the law. These buildings are a big part of the problem, and we're making it very clear. It doesn't matter who you are. Even the President of the United States has to abide by the law of this city.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
You actually haven't signed this bill yet. Do you know when you'll sign it?
This bill will become law, I guarantee you. Well, it's so nice of them to serenade us here at Trump Tower, but clearly they're uncomfortable about the truth. So we're saying the Trump organization is part of the climate crisis because their buildings are polluting, and President Trump is taking us away from the solutions we need to global warming. So we come here to say it in a public place where people are allowed to assemble, exercise our freedom of speech, and this is how they respond. Clearly, there's something they're worried about.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
Are you going to hold events like this? Are you going to shame attempt to shame other developers in New York? Rallies like this for other developers?
We're going to be clear with anyone who's not fixing their building. We're going to let them know that they're out of compliance. And it's important for all the landlords to get the point. This is about our existence. This is about our survival. They have to fix this problem. If they don't, there are very serious penalties.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
You said the Trump properties are among the worst polluters. Who are the worst polluters?
See if our colleagues say. We will get you examples later on today.
So he didn't even know the other polluters that were worse than Trump. So he's calling him among the worst polluters. But it's clear that de Blasio's, the point of holding this rally at Trump Tower wasn't because Trump was a big polluter, because obviously he would have known some of the other big polluters in the city. And he probably, as mayor of the city, he probably knows some of the biggest landlords in the city too.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
Mr. Mayor, just picking up on Grace's question, though, are you going to have other rallies inside of other developers who are doing just as much?
We're going to make, as I said, we're going to make very clear any landlords who are not complying. We're going to name them out loud.
Are you going to hold rallies?
Again, we're going to make clear who they are.
So she's asking him if he's going to hold rallies in front of these buildings of other polluters, and he doesn't commit to it. He just says, we're going to let them know that they're doing it. Well, why are you doing it to this specific landowner? Could it be that there's a significant issue with him that has nothing to do with the environment?
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
Given the circus-like atmosphere in here, is this a good place to get your message out?
Look, had the weather cooperated, we would have been outside. That was the original plan. But it's a public place, and you know what? In New York City, we're perfectly tough. If people want to offer their opposition, doesn't change me one bit. Doesn't change anyone here. Rachel just walked in and heard all that. She didn't blink. So anyone has a problem with saving the planet, I got a problem.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
How'd I get here? Yes.
I know you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No.
Why wouldn't you have this at the worst polluter? I mean, it seems obvious that this is a political.
Because this clearly sends a message to all the landlords in New York City that no landlord is exempt from this bill, not even the President of the United States.
So you saw some of the footage from that rally, and it's pretty obvious. Okay, look, running for president is something that is very difficult. Okay, there's a lot of people who've declined to run for president in the past who may have been pretty good candidates, and there's a lot of clowns that have run for president that made it much further than people would think. You have to remember that the governor of California, who used to be the governor of California, Jerry Brown, ran for president, I think 4 or 5 times, and was always a failure, not even close to winning. I think the closest he came was in 1992. And here you have Bill de Blasio launching his campaign in the worst possible way, going to the lobby of the person, the private property of the person he's running against, and expecting people to receive him well. And then they go up and down the escalators. His entire rally is a joke. You can barely hear him. He has to yell. He has to strain with his ear to hear people. This is not the type of person who should be running the country. In fact, you could probably say that this guy is incompetent in running New York City, and a lot of people do. So if you go to Twitter, here's Michael Tracy. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Bill de Blasio is actually running for president. The media response to his months-long trial balloon has been absolutely brutal. Maybe it's resentment over the fact that the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, is now a top-tier contender. Then you have all these people here. Bill de Blasio is considering a run for president. Meanwhile, his city looks like this. So this was when he hadn't even done it. He hadn't even announced. Then this guy, Jason Johnson, who's actually, I think, he's from MSNBC. He's a real far lefty. He says, you know, you don't actually have to run for president just because everyone else is. You have here Adam Klasfeld says New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio threatens $2.1 million a year fine starting in 2030 if Trump doesn't make his mirrored glass towers green. President Trump, you're on notice, Bill de Blasio sent a statement. Your buildings are part of the problem. So you have the breakdown here. It's all of his big buildings here in Central Park West, Wall Street, UN Plaza, and those are some of them have. It's only about $850, $1 million a year for one. This is chump change. He could easily absorb this. So that's about it. I want you guys to really think about it. How many of these people have so much time on their hands that they can run for president? They are supposed to be public servants in the case of de Blasio, in the case of Pete Buttigieg, in the case of this Steve Bullock, who's the governor of Montana. You were elected to office in order to serve the people that you were elected to. Now, I get it. A lot of people, for example, Bullock, he's finishing his term in 2020. Maybe he's always had ambitions to run for office higher than governor. But the issue nowadays is, you've had so much time to do the best you can in your state or in your city, and your city's in complete and total turmoil, New York City, in the case of de Blasio. And now you decide, well, I'm going to just wander off into the ether and fight with Donald Trump and get into these spats with him using my office as mayor in order to propel me to the presidency. I think most people in New York would agree that Big Bird should stay in the birdhouse and not run. That's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also subscribe to me on BitChute, that's @Chef Leopard, and on Minds.com @Chef Leopard. also on Gab at Starscream85, and you can find me on Subscribestar at Chef Leopard. I'll see you guys later, and have a great night.